Okay, Paul, let's move to your next abomination. Your claim, and many of the claims of you and your fellow anti-feminists are this, and we are once again using the SPLC's articles on you. Why? The information is concise, it's straightforward, it's easy to follow, and it frankly saves me the time of tracking down the Center for Disease Control Injury Prevention study and the Department of Justice study. All the information's right here. Now, unless the information is incorrect, in which case you have to disprove the information, you can't just say, oh, it sucks. That's not scientific, Paul. You have to disprove what you're looking at. And we'll get to that in a minute. Now, here's one of the claims that you guys make. Men's rights activists often insist that men are victimized by sex crimes and abuse just as much as women, or if not more. The assertion is meant to support their contention the courts and laws are outrageously favor women. I've been looking a little bit into this, and there is absolutely no evidence of that. In fact, even if a woman can prove domestic violence against her husband, she's no more likely to be awarded custody of her children. That claim is debunked. Let's look at the rest of the claims, and like I said, we're using the Center for Disease Control's National Center for Injury Prevention and Control thoroughly debunks such claims. Nearly 1 in 5 American women, about 18.3%. The study found had been raped. Comparable number of men is only 71 for 1.4%. Not only that, current or former spouse or boyfriend or date, according to a 2000 study of the Department of Justice, that makes up who the majority of these people are. They're about twice as likely as a male rape victim to be injured during an assault, 31.5% versus 16.5%. And bear in mind, these assaults that are being done to these men are being done usually by other men. Okay? So yeah, men are more likely to victimize anybody more than women, including other men. Sorry, Hoss, your bird's been spun. Even though many women do not physically resist their attackers for fear of injury, overall the studies found most violence of all kinds against women, 64%, and we go into this. This is all there. Now, in terms of being violent in a lethal way, let's look at that number. 84% of spousal abuse victims were female, 86% of victims of abuse at the hands of a dating partner. Males made up 83% of all spousal murders and 75% of dating partner murders. Sorry. That's well over 3/4 in both cases. The majority of people doing the victimizing are men. That's not a comment on the male gender. It's a comment on our society. What is going on to cause this? And no, we do not look to, in the anthropological community, radical feminists for that answer. In fact, we find radical feminists to be a joke. And that's something that I need to start debunking a little bit better. And I mean this to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress this enough. People like Gail Dines and the like, the Shelley Lubins, they are not taken seriously in academia because they're nut jobs. They don't produce anything of value. And when they do produce a study, all you have to do is take a cursory look at it to find out it's completely and totally flawed. That's why they don't fight these wars in academia. Gail Dines takes her case to the public because she knows she can manipulate the public. The same thing is here. There is a small group of frankly disenchanted misogynists who are seeking each other out and giving the illusion in some cases, well, all cases, that there's somehow some sort of legion of up-and-coming rights advocates who are going to sweep all before them in history. Grandiose plans, Paul. The problem is grandiose plans require a mind capable and up to the task of executing them. You are not such a mind. Why? You're too unstable. You're flat out too unstable. I wouldn't trust you on a Johnny detail at a frickin' dog pound, let alone with the entrusting of an entire movement. So the idea that somehow that there's more violence on the part of women is nonsense. We know that to be incorrect. Then you have the Deborah Capaldi study from the Oregon Learning Center, which only studied youth. It was not a general statement. We've already gone into that. It is also in the article. Now, the ideas of false rape accusation. The actual numbers from the best studies show a rate of 2.5%, and what was the other one? 2 and 10% for some of the others, but not. Well, there's one jack-off that is linked in a video that will be linked in this low bar from Weed and Freak 976 that claimed that all women are lying about being raped, and that there's no possibility that a woman could be telling the truth about something like that. So, more or less, they're insisting that no woman has ever told the truth about a murder, or rather, I should say, they've never been telling the truth about rape. They're completely trustworthy in any other crime, but not in this one. And now I'll explain why that picture is up in the back of this particular little video. The young lady you're seeing there, Paul, if you have the balls to watch these, is Oksana Makar. She's a pretty girl, isn't she? Too bad she's dead. She died this Thursday, actually. 2 weeks ago, she was attacked. She was raped. And then she was lit on fire. Now, according to you and some of these other dipshits, apparently Oksana had to have been lying. No man would ever do something like that, would they? Of course not. So she had to have brutalized herself, made it appear she was raped, and then lit herself on fire, which of course later caused her to have several of her limbs amputated as a result of that, Paul. She deserved it though, right? She was making a false accusation. She did it just to ruin the lives of men. See how far these feminists are willing to go, that they will fake their own rapes and light themselves on fire. Right. You know who did this to her? Some jack-offs who think just like you guys, who feel entitled to do certain things. You aren't entitled to anything, Paul. You want respect, you got to earn it. You want people to believe you and take you seriously, you've got to earn it. You want people to take your movement seriously, you've got to earn it. And so far, you've done a pretty piss-poor job of doing that. There are only two people that I've seen who identify, or at least identify with the actual MRA movement, the men's rights movement, who I think could be taken seriously, and really the movement should be centralized around them, and that's Tattoo Skin 72 here on YouTube and Watcher Azazel. They're the only two people actually talking about real issues. Now, in one case, I know that something, and I won't get into too much of it, I will rather let them talk about it if they're comfortable. One of these individuals was affected very directly by something like this. And I understand why they seek to bring this to the forefront. And they should. You and your group of gremlins are not about that. You aren't helping him. You aren't helping them. You're not helping men. Because ultimately, we, even in this society today, hold the reins of power. We do. The only way we can invoke change is if we see the truth of things. And it is not the truth put forward by you and your other radical anti-feminists, and it is not the truth put forward by the radical feminists, who are simply the flip side of the same coin as you. You are both the same wellspring of nutness. You are the same wellspring of crazy. Your hatred, for whatever reason, is directed at one sex or the other. In both cases, both of you are convinced of the rightness of your situation. A lot of you in both movements are celibate and refuse to engage in any kind of sexual congress with the opposite or same sex. You believe this somehow makes you pure and brings you closer to a godlike state of Zen that allows you to see truth when no one else can. But I've got news for you, and it's the same thing that I would tell any radical group. They claim that, well, every great idea is often made fun of. Yeah, but think of how many stupid ideas come along in the history of mankind that are discarded and forgotten. Millions. Just like the hollow earth theory, or the concentric sphere theory, that the earth was actually two concentric spheres and you could enter the center of the earth through a pole and there was a civilization in there. That was a real theory at one point. Obviously, it didn't end up holding up to scientific scrutiny. I'm tired of you guys trying to frame your struggle in the idea of somehow you are on par with somebody like Gandhi. See, that takes a colossal ego to even put yourself in that category. You're not like Gandhi. Gandhi would have come up with a far better solution than any of you jackoffs could have. And he would have done it without running around calling women cunts or men who, frankly, support their girlfriends and wives and what they do is manginas or something like that. You know, this is the kind of turd letting, if you will, that you expect out of a bunch of 13-year-olds on a fucking playground. That's what I feel like I'm dealing with here. Children. Nonviolence has nothing to do with your movement. This is about hate. And it's not the fault of the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's not the fault of all of us. It's your fault, Paul. You and your army of nutjobs have done this to yourselves. So do us all a favor for a change. If you want to be taken seriously, you need to drop the rhetoric. You need to drop the attacks. You need to actually start doing something that makes a difference, which you're not doing right now. All you're doing is increasing the likelihood at some point someone is going to get hurt. Because one of these days, one of those assholes that you encourage is going to snap. And they're going to do something horrible. Like the Darkay guy and this Le Pena guy. And then what are you going to do? Especially when they link it back to you and your hate group. $12.5 million, Paul. You got that laying around? For that kind of a judgment? Because believe you me, if the SPLC is on your ass like this right now, they are waiting for that to happen. And when it does, you're going down, Paul. But you got a chance to evade that. You can change this shit up. But if you don't, if you continue down this kind of path, you're going to ruin yourself and everyone that you claim to represent. Let me give you a little piece of advice. Alliances that are forged in hate are fragile things at best. And that's all you guys have done. No one is convinced by your bullcrap. And your article addressing me and this other individual has done nothing to address the information that has been presented in these videos. So if you want me to take you seriously, get cracking, Bubbles. Because frankly, right now, you have not passed muster. Get to it.